Just the other day I was browsing online and I saw this leather tote bag. I mean, the photos, the leather, it just looked incredible. And it really got me thinking, like, what goes into making something like that? Taking it from an idea to something you can actually, hold in your hands.
It's a process a lot of us don't think about. We see a finished product in a store or online, I guess, and we rarely think about the design, all the work that goes into it, especially with leather. It's got that history.
Yeah, it's like you can admire a painting, but understanding the artist's technique, that's a whole other thing.
Exactly.
And that's what we're doing today. We're taking a deep dive into leather goods product development, specifically the role of a leather goods product development manager.
And that role in particular is interesting because it requires such a unique combination of skills. It's not just about design. They're the ones who dream up these amazing bags and belts, but they also figure out how to make it a reality.
So there's this creative side, but it also sounds like there's a ton of project management involved too.
You got it. And here's where things get really fascinating. These managers are totally focused on this thing called rentability. It's not enough to just design a cool product. It has to be profitable too.
Which makes sense. Businesses want to make money.
Exactly. So they're often pushing for these ambitious profit margins, like sometimes even 10% year over year. So they have to make tough choices, source of materials, figuring out the price, balancing it all out, quality and cost.
Yeah, no kidding. It sounds like a lot of pressure to balance, like the art and the business side of things. So how do you even get started in a role like that?
Well, you don't just become the manager overnight, thankfully.
Right.
It usually starts, like most industries, I guess, with a sort of apprenticeship. Like you might start as a leather goods product development assistant, fresh out of design school, eager to learn.
Okay, so as an assistant, what are you actually doing? Are you like grabbing coffee or is it more hands-on than that?
Definitely more hands-on. You're really diving into the world of leather goods. You'd be working closely with senior designers, looking at all the latest style trends, learning all about those design specifications.
I imagine even a simple bag has a lot of details people don't think about, right?
Oh, absolutely. Way more than you'd think. Like even something as simple as a zipper. You can tell a cheap zipper from a high-quality one instantly. And then there's the lining, making sure it's durable, ages well, all those things an assistant starts to pick up on.
So you're really developing an eye for detail. What's the next step up from assistant?
Usually it's a coordinator position.
Mm.
And now you're not just assisting. You're, actually coordinating different parts of the design and development process. This is also where you start doing some of that market research.
To see what's popular, what customers actually want.
Exactly, yeah.
Mm.
And you got to be good at collaborating because as a coordinator, you're working across different teams.
Mm.
Design, logistics, marketing, you name it, got to make sure everyone's on the same page.
So from there, it seems like the natural progression would be to a senior leather goods product developer. What changes at that level?
That's where you go from like the day-to-day tasks to taking on more leadership. You're still super involved in the design and development, but you're also mentoring a team now, sharing your knowledge, helping to train the next generation, you could say.
So you're shaping careers along with products.
I like that, yeah. And then, of course, all of that leads to the big role, leather goods product development manager.
The one calling all the shots. What are some of the challenges at that level?
I'd say the biggest one is staying ahead of the curve. The fashion industry is constantly changing. They have to have their finger on the pulse of what's next, but also keep in mind those bigger picture trends. What do consumers really care about? What are their values?
It's really interesting to think about how much goes into predicting those trends too, right? But what are some of the big trends you're seeing right now that are impacting the work of a leather goods product development manager?
Well, you can't talk about trends in this industry without talking about sustainability. Consumers are really demanding eco-friendly materials now, ethical production. People want to know, where did this leather come from? How was it treated? What's the environmental impact?
It's that whole idea of conscious consumption, like investing in pieces that are well made, they'll last, but also, knowing they align with your values.
Exactly. And it's pushing the industry in some pretty cool directions. We're seeing these plant-based leather alternatives popping up, like some are made from pineapple fibers, believe it or not, or even mushroom leather.
Mushroom leather, you say? That
Yeah.
sounds fascinating.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. There are these certain types of mushrooms you can actually grow and process to create this material that looks and feels a lot like animal leather. But without that same environmental impact, it's durable, breathable, and it's totally biodegradable.
So it's not just about finding alternatives to leather, it's also about making the traditional tanning process itself more sustainable.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head there. Like the traditional tanning process often uses these really harsh chemicals that aren't good for the environment, right? But now you have companies developing chrome-free tanning methods using plant extracts, even olive leaves.
Wow, olive leaves. That's pretty incredible. The industry is really changing. Are there any other big trends beyond sustainability that are influencing a leather goods product development manager's work?
Oh, for sure. Personalization is huge right now. Consumers are moving away from like the mass-produced stuff. They want something unique, that reflects their individual style.
It's like that bespoke tailoring trend, but for bags and belts.
Exactly. And technology is playing a big role in this too. With 3D modeling, for example, designers can actually create these virtual prototypes and play around with different materials, embellishments, you name it. It really opens up a world of possibilities for customization.
So you're saying you could potentially go online, design your own bag, pick the leather, the hardware, everything.
Yeah, that's the idea. Some companies are even using virtual reality now so customers can, like, experience their custom designs before they're even made. It's really blurring the line between digital and physical.
Man, it's amazing how much the industry is evolving. We've talked about so much today from, what a leather goods product development manager actually does, all the way to these larger trends that are shaping the future of the industry. Any final thoughts you want to leave our listeners with?
I think what I find most interesting about this whole field is that it combines art, innovation, and business. It's this constant balancing act between tradition and progress. Next time you see a beautiful leather good, think about everything that went into it, the designers, the craftspeople, all those people behind the scenes.
It's a good reminder that, yeah, we live in a world of mass production, but craftsmanship, that attention to detail, it never goes out of style. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of leather goods product development.